Oh, hello, YouTube. Today in the Naughty Librarian, we are going over episode 7. That is the penultimate episode of season 2 of Mayfair Witches. And for so many episodes up until this point, like nothing has been happening, barely anything at all, really. And then they saved it all up for like the last 2 episodes because so much happened in this episode, it feels like breakneck speed. So definitely pacing this season has been an issue, but like I said, so much happens in this episode. Let's just dive right in because it's going to be a long one. The episode pretty much starts off right where the last episode ended. Rowan, she's trapped in the tunnels looking around, and Cortland is being driven out to the rental car by Ian. And Cortland is still asking him like, hey, what is this all about? Like, what's going on? What's the order of events? He's trying to figure things out. Ian's being a little bit cagey. All Ian tells him is like, well, first there's Michaelmas, then there's the wedding, and then the next day is the feast. And as soon as he said feast, like the way my stomach dropped. I don't like the sound of that one bit, considering they're always talking about how special Lasher's blood is. Are they gonna eat some tall toes? I wouldn't put it past them, because what they've been doing this whole time is like this pagan Catholicism matchup, and like eating the blood and body of a deity is like a literal Eucharist. So I don't know. I'm purely speculating, but the idea of a feast doesn't sound like it's gonna be great for tall toes. I don't know if they're eating them or not. We'll find out next episode, but like, yikes. I'm very worried. But besides all of that, we do find out some new interesting things about Ian. In particular, he does have some magical abilities and he has telekinesis. And they're still kind of giving off like good brother vibes at this moment. And Ian's like, oh, I wish I could share all the gifts that Lasher's gonna give us, but like, I can't guarantee your safety. So it's probably best like you and your group like just get the hell out of Scotland right now. But Cortland's like, oh, no, we'll stay. Don't worry about me. You know, I have my own gift from Lasher that'll more than keep me safe. And it's like, Cortland, bro, you need to stop talking, okay? You just talk too much and you show off too much because you want to be important. But it's like, okay, you know what? People can't take things from you if they don't know you have them. I'm just gonna say it right there. I'm gonna put a pin in it. More on that later. But speaking of like the wedding, the feast, etc., let's talk about what Lasher has been up to since the last episode. So Abel, he brings Lasher to his old church that he used to preside over as Saint Ashlar. And he's hoping like maybe this will help jog his memories, like this seem familiar. And Lasher isn't really in a space to accept that yet. Like he's still feeling really guilty about, you know, all of the women he killed with his penis. So he's like, I don't want to hurt anybody. I just want to see Rowan because like she'll help me. Like I don't want this. And Abel is still trying to convince him like, oh no, you can't see Rowan right now. She's not here. But you know, don't worry about that. We're just here to make you happy. All we want is your happiness. And Lasher, like he might have been bored only a few weeks ago, but he's not stupid. He's like, no, you don't. Oh my God, no one wants my happiness. Humans as a whole don't really want anybody's happiness. Like, have you met humans? We're kind of the worst. And Abel is finally like, you know what? You're right, Lasher. You're right, okay? Here's the thing. We want you to take a mate and then produce a bunch of offspring, have babies, because like through your blood and your offspring and whatnot, it's going to bring like glory back to the land. Like your blood is literal magic. So Abel's like, hey, let me show you, because words are only going to go so far. So he takes out a little knife and he like nicks Lasher's lip so he has a little bit of blood out. Now, I don't know why he chose the lip. He could have just nicked this guy's finger, but here we are, bloody lip. And like a single drop of his blood, he just like touches it to the altar and then boom, a bunch of plants start growing. And then he like kisses a root at the base of the altar and a full-blown tree just grows to life in a matter of seconds. After seeing all of like the life that his blood is bringing, it kind of does jog his memories a bit. But to find out more on that, why don't we go check in on Cyprien for a second? So I didn't bring this up last episode because there was literally only one scene with Cyprien in it and it went literally nowhere. So last episode, Cyprien did arrive at the Amsterdam office. And everyone's all in a tizzy over Daniel Malloy's book, Interview with the Vampire. It's causing a lot of chaos, so it's the whole thing. Everyone's on edge. And Cyprien, he meets the head of the Amsterdam office, this woman named Annemieke. Now, the character Annemieke is just made up for the TV show. I'm assuming maybe she'll be in the Talamasca spin-off show. I'm not sure. Part of me was hoping she would be more of like a deep cut Easter egg and we would actually meet someone important to the Talamasca. I was hoping she was going to come out and say her name was Hesketh, which is a character from the books who is a woman, and she was one of the founding members of the Talamasca, but she's still around now. There's some immortals in their midst. But nope, we just find out this is Annemieke. But who knows? Maybe that's just a name she's going by. But anyway, Annemieke, she's a psychic, and she goes and she sees Cyprien, and she just like Rolodexes through his mind real quick. She's like, okay, great, awesome, Cyprien, so nice to meet you. I know you're innocent, you didn't help Albrecht. I need you to help me though. And Cyp is like, you know what? Fuck all y'all bitches. I am not dealing with the Talamasca anymore. All y'all do is use me and lie to me. And you know what? The only way I'm going to help you people anymore is if I'm not in the dark. Okay, you got to tell me what's going on. I got to be involved in all of it. And you know what? Make me the head of the New Orleans office. If you do all that, I will help you. And Annemieka's like, all right, give me a few hours. I'll see what I can do. So now in this episode, a few hours has gone by and Annemieke comes back to Cyprien and she's like, hey, guess what? You're head of the New Orleans office. I managed to do it for you. I need your help figuring out what's going on with the Taltos. We have very few records or any information on them. But what she does have is a mummified body of a Taltos. They've had it there for like 500 years. I guess they're just keeping it in the back. And now they roll it out. And then Cyprien needs to use his powers on it and maybe like pick up some clues. So like in the book, the Talamasca also doesn't have a ton of information on the Taltos, but that's actually on purpose because when the Talamasca was founded, it was a long, long time ago, like the year 1200. And one of the people there at the founding of the Talamasca was the actual Ashlar, and he was there helping them found the organization, and he very purposefully kept a lot of information about Taltos out of their archives because he wants to protect his people, because all humans do is fuck them over. So he's like, you know what, the less y'all know about us, the better. I don't think they're gonna like introduce the character Ashlar in the show. They're just making Lasher into him. But anyway, in the show, they pull on out the coffin. They reveal the mummified body inside. Cyprien is like, okay, wait, you all know this is Lasher, right? Like, this is his exact face. This is his original body, apparently. And I guess it just confirms for the Talamasca that they can be reborn. And Cyprien's like, all right, well, let's get into this. So he touches the body, and then we kind of get the full scoop here on Lasher's backstory. So in the book, Lasher's backstory is at least 100 pages long. It's a very long backstory, and they use maybe 10% of it in the show. And I kind of already went over the Cuckoo Bananas backstory from the books last episode, but in this episode, I was actually kind of surprised that they did go in his original birth mother, birth father situation, because Lasher's birth mother was Anne Boleyn, and his birth father was the Earl of Donleith. Like in the book, they take the baby from Anne because she's like, this is a problem, I can't have this baby around, it's growing too fast. They give it over to the father. In the book, the father sends Lasher over to Rome to study to become a priest. In the show, he just takes him directly back to Donleith. I guess like Lasher in particular, or maybe all Taltos, I'm not sure, they have like a connection to wolves, and they just put it in for a hot second and go nowhere with it in the show. So I'm not sure why they're doing it. It doesn't exist in the book either. But apparently he's connected to wolves, and a wolf comes out and bites him, and then like some of his blood falls on like the scorched earth, and it like causes it to like bloom and like have plant life again. So Lasher stays with his father. He stays in Donleith, and the town is eventually rebuilt, and Lasher is a priest there, and he uses his blood to help people grow strong and like protect the town and like help heal people, which is kind of accurate to the book. In the book, Lasher as a priest was also known as like a healer. He would help the sick and the poor, and like really they would have miraculous recoveries. And then in his like trip down memory lane, we see Lasher being a priest, and then he looks up and they bring Emeleth to him. And then after that, things kind of go fuzzy. You don't really know what happens next in the story. And all Cyprien sees is Lasher looking at the sky and everything going dark. And it's very convenient that we don't get this part of the story, because like this is the most important bit of it. Like, hey Lasher, how'd you end up in a bog for starters? Because like your body is effectively immortal. Like, you had to die somehow. How'd you get there? What happened with Emeleth? Why is she still alive? Did y'all have kids? Where are they? Like, there's so many questions here. I'm assuming they're gonna get to those in the next episode, but it's pretty obvious here, like, something bad happened, because Lasher's body wouldn't have died of natural causes. Someone had to have killed him. But after this trip down memory lane, Cyprien is like, whoa, he just had this big revelation, because he was assuming Taltos were like evil and they were like here to destroy things. And he's like, whoa, Taltos are like here for good. And like they bring life to things. So Cyprien's like, I need to find out what happened to him in the first place. I gotta go to Kilbride, where like the peat bog where you found him was. Maybe I can get some more clues. So Cyprien and Polina, they go to the bog. But unfortunately, no more information is found there besides like just the body got put in at one point. But as they're investigating the bog, they get interrupted by a police officer, and they're like, oh, we're tourists from Amsterdam. We don't speak English well. Like just like pretending, oh, we're a couple and we want to look at bogs. So they're like, okay, we'll leave now. And the cop's like, no. Why don't you stay a minute? So Sip and Polina, they presumably are taken by the police, probably into Kilbride. I'm sure we'll find out next episode what exactly happens to them, but for right now, Sip's story is complete for this episode. But speaking of Kilbride, let's check on Rowan for a minute, okay? A lot has been happening with other characters, so what's going on with her? She is still in the tunnels. She's trying to figure out how to get through them. Her phone's dead. She has no flashlight. She's just wandering in the dark. Her like Lasher senses start tingling and she feels like more powerful, and then boom, she can light like a little fire in her hand. She has her fire gift back, and when it gets bigger, she knows she's getting closer to Lasher, so she just starts following her flame around till it gets like really strong. And she finds this door, and it's the same door that Lasher had his panic attack at, so she's definitely on the right track. So she opens it, and then she's back in the basement of the castle, and there's two people waiting for her, Ian's wife and his daughter Bonnie. Bonnie comes over to Rowan and she hands her a vial of Lasher's blood. You know, the one thing she told them she came here for and she would leave after she got. And then Bonnie's mom is like, hey, the car is fixed and like, you should take your group and you should leave. Like, I just gave you what you came here for. Y'all need to get the hell out of here. So here's the thing in this episode. You're gonna see this a lot of times, that so many people tell like the New Orleans group that they should get the hell out of Kilbride. They're even helping them leave. So at a certain point, I can't even be mad at the Scottish half of the family here, because at least they're playing fair. And it's not their fault that the New Orleans side won't listen to them. But anyway, Rowan is taken over to Moira. Moira has been kept in this little room guarded by this girl named Fiona. And they've just been keeping her in isolation this whole time. So she can't read anybody's thoughts and like find out what's gonna happen. So Moira tells Rowan the only piece of information she's been able to get before she got locked up in this room is that someone in the Scottish family killed Albrecht. And Rowan's like, oh my God, that's terrible. They tried to give me a vial of Lasher's blood to make me go away. So I told him no, because, you know, Lasher could be in danger. And Moira's like, then why the fuck are we still here? They gave you the vial of blood, the one thing we came here for. Why aren't we leaving? Oh, Lasher's in trouble? Why don't you break me out of this room and I'll go like rescue Lasher with you? Oh, that's right, Rowan. You have this pathological need to beat Julian at his own game when who the fuck cares what it is? At least Moira's calling it like it is, because Rowan's trying to be like, no, I'm here to protect the family because it's my job to protect the family. And she's like, you have his blood, you can protect the family. No, you're just here because you want to be powerful, you bitch. But Rowan isn't really ready to acknowledge that about herself, so she's like, all right, Moira, you stay here trapped in this room, and then I'll go find Lasher and come back for you, which is just the worst thing to do. So Rowan leaves Moira trapped in this room, and she goes over to like Ian's wife, and she's like, hey, take me to Lasher right now, and starts throwing a temper tantrum, like blowing doors off the hinges and making the whole house rattle and stuff. And then wifey's like, all right, you know what? Fine, do what you want. Don't mind me, the only person here trying to keep you alive. Go look for Lasher if you need to see him that bad. So Rowan presumably storms off, and she's like walking around the castle using her Lasher senses to like find him. And they have like this nice kind of mother-son reunion, and they hug, and she's like, oh my god, I'm glad you're okay. And she's like, okay, great, Lasher, you're healthy. We need to get the hell out of here because these Scottish people are all insane and they're gonna do something horrible to you because, like, guess what? They killed Albrecht already. But Lasher doesn't want to go with Rowan because, like, the whole Scottish side of the family has been nothing but kind to him this whole time. And honestly, fuck Albrecht. Like, he sucked anyway. They probably had a good reason for killing him. Also, Lasher has his memories back, so he's like, I remember why I was here. I have to, like, atone for the bad things I did by, like, fulfilling my good purpose here. I want to get married to Emelef. Like I mentioned earlier, Lasher may only be a couple weeks old, but he's not stupid. He's like, Rowan, you're obviously trying to manipulate me into leaving with you because of what I can provide you. Not because you love me and you want me to be safe, it's because I make you powerful. Everyone can see this about Rowan but herself. So Lasher's like, you know what? If you want to prove to me that's not the case, you're gonna stay here, stay for my wedding, and you know what? Help, give me away at the wedding. Like, let's do like a family thing. And since Rowan's kind of in the trap right now, she's like, all right, I guess I'm staying. But speaking of traps, let's go check on Cortland for a second because, oh boy, this story's about to take a turn. So Cortland, he's like getting ready in the morning, and he's just walking around outside the window having a fit. And Rowan, always wants Cortland to be useful and figure out what's going on here. So Cortland goes to Ian. He's like, bro, what is the problem? Ian is just in a rage in his office, and he's starting up the victrola so he can go give Julian a piece of his mind because he's like, Julian's plan is to be reborn into a new body, and he's gonna take Hamish's body, and he's my firstborn son, so fuck Julian. He's really mad at him. And essentially, like, what would happen, it would be kind of like the sunken place in Get Out, where like Julian's mind would take over the body, and then like Hamish's mind would be stuck in the victrola, a little switcheroo. And Cortland actually finds some courage and is trying to maybe do the right thing here. So he's like, Ian, you're my brother, and Julian, our father, is a piece of shit. I'll go in the victrola with you, and like us teamed up, we could probably take him. So they get Hamish to come in to be their anchor, the person who pulls them out of the victrola from the living world. And Ian and Cortland enter the victrola. There they are. They're in the room with Julian. And here's the big double cross, okay? Hamish is on the outside to pull them out, right? He pulls out Ian, his father, and now there's two spirits inside this victrola, and Hamish can pull out whichever one he wants. And Hamish pulls Julian's mind out of the victrola into Cortland's body. Cortland's consciousness is now trapped in the victrola, and Julian's walking around with a brand new Cortland body. Cause turns out Cortland's like gift from Lasher is basically being impervious to damage. So his body's kind of immortal. I think he would probably still die from old age because he is aging, but like body-wise, impervious. So Julian's like, ooh, this is a great body. Like, it's not as young as Hamish, but like impervious, that's an upgrade. So he's cool with it. And like, I don't know how to feel about this because show Julian is like wildly different from book Julian. They have like very few personality traits in common. Like in the book, Julian didn't want to come back to life and snatch a body. He just wanted to be able to protect the family even after he was dead. Like his family's protection was always his number one priority. Now, I don't want to necessarily paint like Julian as a hero here because he did a lot of really despicable, unforgivable things in his life. And not all of them were to serve his greater mission of destroying Lasher. He just did some terrible things because he was kind of a shitty person. But the show has turned him into this really self-absorbed, petty guy who just hates Cortland, and he'll do whatever he wants to achieve his goal here. And like, his family really doesn't matter to him all that much. He just wants a new body. And I don't know if they're going to have another switchback at the end of the next episode, or maybe he just needed a body in order to carry out his plan of destroying Lasher. I don't know. They're making him seem like he's out for his own ends and not the family's. We'll find out in the finale. But anyway, now that we're out of the real world, it's wedding time. Everyone gets dressed in their finest tartans and they head off to the ceremony. And the wedding itself is a whole wild affair here. Like, both Lasher and Emeleth are being held back by like this bondage yoke, which is also covered in like flowers and stuff, so it's very Midsommar meets S&M. They're holding them back with like several guys on each side, so like these two Taltos just don't like run at each other like genitals first right away, which I'm sure is like a completely human invention here. These two Taltos don't need to be married to mate with each other, but I guess traditionally speaking, when this whole like ceremony would have been created, like marriage would have been a big deal. So I think it's more for the people there that like, oh, it's okay that they're mating a lot, they're married. So the priest, he says his little words, they marry them, and then boom, they cut the ropes holding them back, and hot damn do they run at each other genitals first. And then they just drop a tarp, and they are in like this little gazebo, and they just start immediately mating with each other. Although they do have like semi-privacy to do so, which has a bit more dignity than the book version of events, where they just found a really deformed Taltos woman who looked like a troll doll, and she runs at him vagina first on the dining room table at a banquet where they just start having sex. So at least now they have like a privacy tarp. So, I mean, there's that. I don't know, we're scraping the bottom of the barrel here. So Rowan stands up, she's about to rush off and like stop things, but Ian grabs her and he's like, hey, Rowan, look at this. And he starts cutting his own palm, except the thing is, his palm doesn't get cut. You know whose palm gets cut? Larkin's palm. Because what had happened is after Rowan ditched Lark and he's asleep, Vag Flash Girl shows back up. And I guess she has like a witchy ability to like bewitch people, because he wakes up and then is immediately like put back to sleep by her. And then we have creepy grandma come out with like the most intense upholstery needle I have ever seen in my life. And what they did was bind him into the family. You know, like that spell that they use so only one person in the family gets hurt instead of all of them? Yeah, they bound Lark into the family, and I guess they took the burden off Bonnie's shoulders, and now Lark is their new whipping boy. So if Rowan tries to harm anybody or act out against the family, the only person getting hurt is her boyfriend. That's kind of just where the episode ends. We just have a lot of things going on. Lasher and Emeleth are just mating the bejesus out of each other. And we don't know what like the final end game is. We will find out next episode. So yeah, a lot happened here, finally, and it felt like too much happened in one episode. I would have loved to have more events in more episodes rather than a long lulls of nothing happening and then breakneck speed for the last 2 episodes, but here we are. Let me know in the comments down below, what do you think Endgame is for the next episode? Do you think Julian's truly a villain, or maybe this has another twist coming? I don't know. What twists are there gonna be? Let me know in the comments down below. If you like this video, make sure you give it a like. If you want to see more videos, make sure you subscribe. And if you want cool exclusive content, including early access to videos and a book club, you can consider becoming a channel member or a patron. Links for that are in the description down below. And on that note, I'll see you guys soon. Goodbye.